Okay, shalom everyone. I've been missing y'all. The holidays here in Israel threw everything off schedule, and then the summertime, the wintertime, the summertime, the wintertime. So now we're all on wintertime, so we're good. Um, as you probably know, I sent my application back to the U.S. Embassy, or rather, my grandson did for me. So I'm hoping to have my new passport sometime around Christmas, and then. As soon as I have my passport, I can plan to come out to see you guys. Other than that, things are very hectic here in Israel. As you probably know, our army attorney general is in jail now, and I always used to get very angry when I saw her on TV. And now that she's in jail, I'm so happy to see her and all the shenanigans, at least as far as she's concerned, is over. And now the courts, are understanding the danger that this woman uh, was having wreaking on all of our military justice system. And when I was driving home with Rachel yesterday from my son's house, we were listening to the term, in English, keep your eye on the ball. And Yaakov Verdugo, who's really our favorite commentator, was saying that the reason that our military attorney general threw her telephone into the sea was because she had a direct link to the civilian attorney general, who is the head of the deep state in Israel. And what he was saying was, how many times in the mafia, when they're going to want to arrest many people, it all depends on one person, and so that person has to be sacrificed. And this is the case of this military attorney general, because she is the connection to the whole deep state here in Israel. So Rachel is happy. I'm happy because they took out the first stone in the building, or shall I say, they took out the first card in the House of Cards, and so now we're watching very closely every day as the interrogation was made public. Um, we have a lot of top generals, a lot of top politicians who are all connected with this deep state treason. And I don't know if you remember, but I spoke to all of you about the day after the war began, after the massacre on October 7th. And I said that treason is being committed by top people in the military. And another thing we found out was all of this started with Biden. In other words, top Israeli military people were flying to Washington, D.C. During the war to get their instructions and their money from Biden and from the Democrats, because that's also deep state. So I don't know if you remember, but I did actually a very successful interview with Zola Levitt's group, Caleb and Joshua Colson, and some messianic guy here in Israel threatened to sue them if they didn't censor my interview, which was saying that treason has been committed. And now it came out treason was committed by all these people. It's a miracle Netanyahu is still in power. It's a miracle Netanyahu is still alive. And he's actually more popular today than he was when the war broke out. This war, it's a terrible thing. I mean, we lost 1,200 boys and girls at a dance party, and we lost 1,000 of our soldiers, our top military people. Terrible, terrible, terrible. But it was done on purpose. In other words, there were Israeli leaders who thought that by having the Hamas come in and kill 2,000 of our people would force Netanyahu to resign. But on the contrary, he rose to the occasion, and the military is doing its job. And what we're doing now, we're in the process of purging the top military leadership. which is all involved in this treason. Now our civilian attorney general has to be also purged, and it's not easy because the Supreme Court is with her, and the Supreme Court has to be purged. There are a lot of people who have to be purged. Now the head of the Histadrut, which is the National Labor Union, he's in jail. 360 people were investigated by the police on bribery charges. Everything is bribery. Everything is money. So I'm not talking about money. Nothing wrong with money per se, but bribery is a horrible thing. So we're watching all of this very carefully, and we're here. I don't know what to say. What I'm afraid is that we will have another round of fighting with Lebanon and with Iran, because when the Arabs see that the Jews have this infighting going on between the right and the left, or shall I say the deep state and the right, this entices them to attack us. And I don't know if I should say this or not, but the military aircraft are flying over my house all the time. Planes are up in the air all the time. Something is cooking. So we'll have to see. I think even President Trump understands that we never really finished the job in Iran. And the North Koreans have completely rebuilt the infrastructure of Iran. The Chinese have rebuilt the infrastructure. Something crazy is going on, and the only good thing I can say, I think, is that the Russians are losing in the Ukraine. Very important. We're in the middle of everything here. I don't know if I mentioned this last week when I was with you guys, but there's a civil war going on now in Sudan, and there's a real genocide taking place there. And of course, nobody says anything, because if it isn't the Jews killing someone, the Muslims can kill each other in the millions, and nobody says anything. So here in Nigeria, you have all this massacre, this genocide against Christians. And praise God for President Trump. He says we're going to deal with these fanatic Boko Haram terrorists in Nigeria. So we're watching that too. A lot of stuff going on. As usual, I'm drinking my seltzer to stay hydrated and keep my sugar down, which doesn't really help very much with a wife like Rachel cooking all the time. But I'm feeling good. I went to the doctor. She yelled at me a lot because my sugar is too high. And but we're debating whether or not I should take insulin. And at this point, I'm fighting it off. I don't want to take insulin. My sister's 80 and she's taking insulin, but she lost a lot of weight. So anyways, everything is okay. As we approach Christmas time, I'm anxiously waiting my Christmas present, which is my new American passport. And my 2 books are ready. And so I want to get back to Texas and print my 2 new books and get organized, spend a few months in the States doing what I do best, and not just enjoying life, doing Zooms with you guys. Anyway, I don't know if there are any questions. I don't mean to make it so short, because when all these things were happening in the last few days, I thought, wow, we have so much to talk about. But really, it's just a continuation of what we have been having here with the deep state in Israel for the last 2 years. And but I will say, like I said before, Netanyahu is more popular than ever. And I think we're going to ride it out for the new elections until September. Oh, September, October. The Knesset will set a date. And, it's kind of like the Arabs, the Muslims, are so frustrated that they cannot destroy Israel. And the deep state left wing in Israel is so frustrated that they cannot destroy Netanyahu or the right wing. And as I said many times over the last few years, the left wing crazies they're dying off. They're getting older. They're dying off. They're losing their power, their hegemony. And the right wing people, which includes Christians, which includes certain Muslims, includes the Druze, all of our people are totally supporting Netanyahu. So I think overall it's a good picture. And I don't want to say I'm praying for New York City that Mamdani doesn't win. Because if Mamdani wins, it is estimated 1 million New Yorkers going to flee to other states. And it will hasten the return to Israel of millions of Jews. And I get attacked for saying this, and their Christian spouses will be moving home to Israel. So our population, the way this is going, I think the population of the immigrants is going to double the overall population. And the Bible Bloc Party I'm really optimistic with it. We will get into the Knesset in the next elections in September. So I'm already meeting with my candidates. I'm already meeting with my team. And we're working very, very hard to build up a much broader base of supporters for our party. And I just wonder how great God is, that God has allowed me to stay alive this long. I'm approaching my 77th birthday in January. And I look around me and I read the newspapers and I watch the news. I see all these young people dying. And I mean, Rachel always has a knife pointed at me. She says, if you don't take care of your health, I'm going to kill you. But I think things are moving well. I think that I have 2 months to put together a team that will be ready. The moment they declare elections, we will be hitting the ground running. And so I'll be coming to the States in early January, coming back early March. My 8th and 9th books will be out. I think the 8th and 9th books are going to get me more freely onto the Israeli TV, maybe American TV. But the American TV is not so important for me. It's the Israeli TV that matters, that people will be apprised of the situation with the Bible Bloc Party. And I'm always looking to see who's getting off the plane, who's making Aliyah, moving to Israel. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm kind of just jabbering. If you have any comments or questions, you can interrupt me at any time.
Avi, can you tell us about the situation with the Hamas that are trapped in the tunnels, like where those tunnels are and what the situation is there? And
well, firstly, there are a number of tunnels, and tunnels have these Hamas terrorists. I personally think that the solution is going to be, there's one of two solutions. Either we kill them or they surrender. If they surrender, they will be taken to Israeli jails. They will be interrogated. And we're not going to let them free. I mean, unless one day there's some kind of an agreement with Hamas. But Hamas doesn't want an agreement. Hamas just wants to kill every Jew on the face of the earth. And so, there are those people who think that we can negotiate this. We can't negotiate it. There's another possibility that some kind of gas will be used to put them all to sleep or to kill them. If you remember, in Russia, there was an Islamic attack against a school, or I don't know, it was some auditorium. And I mean, the Russians dropped the ball on this one. They used poison gas. A lot of the people, Russians as well as Muslims, died from the poison gas. And that was the way to put them all to sleep. And then the Russian army came in and wiped them out. But a lot of innocent Russians died from this. But these tunnels, we are not going to bomb them. These tunnels are going to be cleared non-violently, and the poison gas or the sleeping gas is what we're going to use. I think this is my personal opinion. I know Trump doesn't like the idea. He wants us to let them just go freely over to Gaza side, to the Islamic side, where they will then reorganize and regroup and attack us again. That's crazy. Why would we allow this? We're still at war. I mean, if you ever heard of one Gaza leader saying, we want to make peace with Israel, maybe I would have second thoughts. But Gaza is more and more convinced that they're going to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. So, I mean, we're tired of all this. So our job is to try to put an end to all of this. So that's regarding the tunnel. That's regarding the Hamas terrorists. They either surrender or they die. I'm watching quickly the headlines, and they've just appointed a new Army Attorney General to replace the one who's in jail. So all good news. This Army Attorney General is in jail now. She's the one who directed the whole false videos, the doctored videos that the Israeli guards raped, sodomized a Hamas terrorist who said he wasn't raped. Nothing happened to him. And that the doctors checked him. There was no damage. There was no rape. There was no nothing. And the Israeli Secret Service, under the leadership of the deep state, convinced him to complain against these innocent soldiers. We have soldiers who committed suicide because of this. We have soldiers who got divorced. Their wives divorced them because they were criminals, according to the movie. Absolutely criminal behavior by the Army Attorney General. And I'm glad she's in jail. She faked a suicide 2 days ago. We don't know if she threw her phone into the ocean. They're looking for it right now. It could be that they just incinerated the phone or put it in some safe deposit box or something. All this is organized and led by the deep state. And see, even the judges are deep state, and they can't do anything about it. I mean, they're blocking. Everything is being blocked. Everybody's running, all these crazy people are running interference. But in the end, the truth comes out. The law is victorious. And all these criminals, we're going to have a lot of people in jail, Israeli Jews who worked with the deep state and with the corruption, the bribery. Good question, Laurie. Thank you. Any other questions?
What are your thoughts on Saudi Arabia? That the head of Saudi Arabia is coming to the United States, and supposedly they're going to be talking about normalization with Israel.
Well, there was talk about this, that the Saudis are going to be told very clearly by President Trump that there is not going to be a Palestinian state. You have to remember, not Hamas, not the Palestinian Authority, none of them want peace. They just want to destroy Israel. So you tell me, what kind of Palestinian state are they talking about if they all want to destroy Israel? They're not. We Jewish people do some really stupid things, but we're not doing crazy things. And destroying Israel by creating a Palestinian state is something we're not going to agree to. So the Saudis, I think, maybe they can keep dreaming, but at least they should have the Abraham Accord agreement with Israel. There were times that the Saudis said, okay, we're not talking about this two-state solution, which is never going to happen. So I think for the Saudis' sake, they should just stop with the nonsense. You have to remember this special economic plan, which ranges from India all the way to Europe, goes through Saudi Arabia, goes through Israel, goes through Cyprus, Greece, Europe. So I don't know. I think it's fair to say that Bush is doing a good job, and we rely on President Bush for the overall picture. Good question. I don't think the Saudis have any chance to ramrod a suicide pact down Israel's throat.
President Bush or President Trump?
Did I say President Bush?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? On the screen in front of me, next to Joanne Bond and Angela, it says Robert Bush. So I must have thought it was maybe it's some kind of a Freudian slip, but President Trump.
You talked about that trade route, which we've talked about before, but it's been a long time. Could you remind us about that, the plans for that economic route that you were just referring to?
Okay, well, the Chinese have what they call the Silk Belt Road, which is going to go from China westward through Kazakhstan and other former stands, which were the Soviet Union, probably through Turkey. See, the Turks want to commandeer this Silk Belt Road and not allow it to go through Israel or through Saudi, but to go through Turkey. Everything has to go through Turkey. This is the imperialist Ottoman dream of a caliphate. And as you all know, my ninth book is called Lepanto II, Turkey and the Armageddon, where we're going to be facing a war with Turkey because the Turks are going to try to take Cyprus and then block any movement in the direction of a gas pipeline or any kind of pipeline between Asia and Europe. So, like I said before, the President Trump, I think his plan for Gaza originally was simply to remove that population, which is an evil population. These people just want to kill all the Jews on Saturday and kill all the Christians on Sunday. They have a history, so we can rely on that history to know what their intentions are. So if Gaza is clear of a hostile population, and between Israel and the United States turn Gaza into a Singapore or Riviera, Gaza is a wonderful place if you have the wonderful people. If you have terrorists, then it's a horrible place. But President Trump has a plan to turn Gaza into basically an economic gold mine, doing this together with Israel. And with the Abraham Accords, the Islamic countries that sign up on the Abraham Accords are going to be part of this partnership. But any Islamic country says, okay, well, we want Hamas because Hamas is still going to destroy Israel. It's kind of a form of mental retardation. And if Mamdani wins the elections in New York, we're going to be seeing millions and millions of Jews and Christians abandoning the United States and moving to Israel. So I don't know. I think overall that's God's plan, the way I understand it. It's in my books.
Avi, you that your eighth and ninth book.
Is somebody wanting to say something?
Yes. Can you explain what your two books are? I know the Battle of Lepanto or Lepanto II. Can you speak on what is your eighth book?
Okay, my eighth book is basically a revised and expanded edition of the fourth book. Out of my first seven books, the fourth book is called Israel's Bible Block Party. This was written and printed in 2006, when the Bible Block Party was basically a pipe dream. But the party was legally established and registered with the Israeli government on May 15th, 2018. And so the most important point for rewriting the book is to expand it, to explain what has happened since 2006, and that people should understand that this is not just a pipe dream. We ran in 5 elections. I swore an oath to God that I'd create the party, which I did. I swore an oath to God that I would lead the party in elections, which I did. The oath is still there with these 6 elections. September this year will be our 6th election, and so it's not been easy because a lot of the people that I made agreements with, some of them died, some of them got sick, some of them moved to other places. So they're far from Jerusalem. So I'm reorganizing the candidate list. And I think also as the books come out, I'm going to have to spend about $20,000 when I come to the States to print the books in English. And then for each book, I'm going to probably need $25,000 to translate the books into Russian and Hebrew for the election purposes, because I don't think any political party writes books about what they're doing. But for me, the books that I'm writing, I look at them kind of like Bible. Bible doesn't get old. My books don't get old. My books give a history, which is, as you know, I've been talking about these things for 35 years. They don't. The information is always there, the same. Talking about the devil, talking about Islam, Allah. So the 8th book is the updated, revised edition of the Bible Block number 4 book. That'll be number 8, and even if we don't get into the Knesset in September, we're building up a team. I have Ethiopians, I have Russians, I have Arabic speakers, I have English speakers, I have Spanish speakers. All of these people are going to be leading the party. And I have to tell you, Israel is such a small country, but we have to campaign in 5 languages and more. In America, I saw on their, go and vote in the New York elections, I saw Chinese also as one of the elections. So we don't have a Chinese constituency here. But like I said, it's English, Hebrew, Russian, Arabic, Ethiopian, Amharic. And all of them are Jews, but also believers. So they're going to be believers as candidates. They're going to be regular Jews, some of them Orthodox. It's going to be really like a family reunion party. And especially if we have all this immigration coming home to Israel, I have to tell you, I think we will be seeing Spanish Hispanics moving to Israel. There's a big movement working on that. I'm going to say something else also, which is in my book. I'm going to say it now also. I'm predicting that we will create something called the United States of Israel. And the United States of Israel will include Lebanon and Syria. I don't know about Jordan because we have a peace agreement with Jordan. I don't know about Egypt, but Egypt is preparing for war with Israel. So I don't know, actually, I don't want to say expansionist plans. I'm talking about defensive plans to defend ourselves. And when we get attacked, you have to expand to destroy the enemy. And, I have to tell you, indeed, there's something new, which I didn't say in this interview, which I'm saying now. The Chinese Air Force has flown into Sinai, into Egypt. I don't know if this is in your news. There were 5 Chinese Air Force tankers. And the first one flew into Sinai, probably Sharm el-Sheikh, which is in the southern tip of Sinai. And after the first plane came in, all of a sudden we were blinded, that we didn't see anything else coming in. And a whole squadron of Chinese fighter jet aircraft flew in also. So they were probably refueled in the air. And probably what America and Israel did to Iran, that our American Israeli air forces knocked out the Iranian defenses, or blinded them. It came in unnoticed. So the Chinese basically did the same thing with Israel's defenses. So the Chinese and the Egyptians are working closely together to attack Israel. And I personally think that because the United States is working so hard together with Israel, somebody in the U.S. Air Force saw these planes. Israel might have been blinded, but the Americans, somebody saw the plane. So that's how we know what happened. So we're watching very carefully that Israel should not be blinded by this. They call this carpet cloud cover or something, that we cannot see who's flying in. The Chinese succeeded. So at this stage, the Egyptians, who are in total contravention of the peace agreement with them, are building themselves up for the attack on Israel. The Turks at this point seem to be quiet, but the Turks are a volcano getting ready to explode. And so we will have to get ready for a war with Egyptians and with the Turks now that the war with Gaza is ending. It's winding down in that sense. I'm sure that I will say one thing, here in Israel, in Kiryat Gat, the US military and the allies have built up a very serious command center there. And I'm very glad. I'm very glad the US military is here, because if China and Egypt attack Israel, we will definitely need the US presence here militarily. This is the next step. This is the next stage in the war. Another thing I wanted to say, the Turks have plans to annihilate the Kurds. I mean, the Kurds are 50 million people. I don't know how you can annihilate them. So I think that Israel, I know Israel is not going to withdraw from Syria. We will be there to protect the Druze. But if the Turks make this move to attack the Kurds, 1/4 of Turkey is Kurdish. 1/4 of Turkey is Alawite Shiite in the southwest of Turkey. And the Turks hate the Shiite Alawites. So I think we're going to be seeing a very, very big geographic change in Turkey and in Egypt. And suffice it to say, if you know your Bible, it says from the Nile to the Euphrates and from Lebanon to Yemen. So, of course, my biggest enemy is the Jewish mother who wants her kids close to home, because we're going to be scattered everywhere. And we're going to need our Christian spouses and relatives marching with us. So I see that Mamdani, even if Mamdani loses today, there will still be riots in New York, anti-Semitic Islamic riots, killing Jews and Christians. So, and this is going to be duplicated throughout the United States. And I don't know, I know Neil is in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I'm praying for you, Neil, because in my opinion, things are not good, where you have massive Islamic populations ready to pounce on the non-Muslims. This is a cancer which has to be stopped. So we will see where all this goes. But at this stage, Israel, I think we are between wars. We are between the Gaza war and the Seven Front War, and then the Two Front War with Egypt and Turkey. That's what my 9th book is about.
Avi, some people are saying that if Mamdani wins today, that masses of Jews will move out of New York. What do you think about that? And where do you think
I did
go?
read
If they do,
an
where do you think
email
they'll go?
that the calculation is that 1 million people will flee from New York, A lot of people, I think, are going to move to Florida, or shall I say to the red states, because the red states, at least until now, are protecting democracy, protecting the Jewish population. But I have to tell you, 2 or 3 months ago, when I was in New York, getting ready to fly home, uh, by some kind of quirk or mistake, I stayed in a Muslim neighborhood in Far Rockaway, and honestly, I had a wonderful time because I speak Arabic. So I was talking Arabic with the older people in the street and in the stores, and all I said was, and I had my kippah on my rosh. On my head. I was saying, I'm a Hawaga. Hawaga in Egyptian Arabic is I'm a foreigner, but my wife is Egyptian, so they love me. I was like one of them, and telling them jokes in Arabic, and I have pretty good Arabic, Egyptian Arabic, and these were all Egyptians, you know. So, but Far Rockaway has been taken over by the Muslims. So not far away, right next door is a Jewish community, a very Orthodox Jewish community. It's called the Five Cities, and I don't know if Jews are ready to pick up guns and defend themselves, but the Muslims have the guns. They're ready to go.
I mean, I
It's
guess
always,
that's kind of the question. I mean, do you think Jews in New York would stay and fight, or do you think they would leave
I
in
think that
general?
most of them would just leave. But
After they vote for him and realize it was a mistake.
you know what? They will never understand, Susan, that this was a mistake. They will say, well, Trump is to blame. There are certain hard-headed right-wing people who are to blame. Mamdani really is a good man. That's what they're going to say. He had good intentions for the people of New York, which is nonsense because he's going to, communists always bankrupt the system. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how people will go to Kennedy Airport to fly because there are going to be demonstrations. It's going to be a threat to all aircraft taking off from New York City. That includes LaGuardia, and that includes, you know, I don't want to say New Jersey. I think New Jersey is still relatively under control. But if New York is out of control, forgive me for saying it, the whole United States is out of control. I'm not saying it's Muslims, but you know, in Los Angeles, planes cannot fly there anymore. And that's because of communists. That's because of Newsom. And Mamdani is a communist.
Sorry, what do you mean planes cannot fly there anymore to Los Angeles?
They don't have air controllers.
Oh,
So planes are now not flying to Los Angeles. They have to fly to other places where they have air controllers. I don't know what this nonsense is. It might be that President Trump, and of course I'll attack him, President Trump is going to have to put in Army air controllers. People who are starving are not going to get their SNAP, you know, the SNAP supplemental nutrition aid program. I think part of SNAP is being fixed. I don't know, but I don't know how America can continue living with the Democrats blocking the reopening of the government. I mean, it's like total anarchy now, in my opinion. I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to fly directly from Israel to Miami, and then fly from Miami to Dallas, and I'm going to stay in the red states. What can I do? I hope I'm not offending anyone. Rachel is saying to me, don't travel anymore. I mean, she's afraid for me.
Hi, Avi.
Hi, how are you, Angela?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm in pretty good spirits.
Yeah.
For 2 years, we suffered with this crazy military woman
Yeah.
who, you know, she's in jail now, praise God.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a general, for heaven's sakes, and she's
It's just unbelievable, isn't it?
completely treasonous.
Mm.
She is
I
the
hope
link.
she's now going to bring everything to the light about what's been going on.
Well, she is the link. She's the link to all of these deep state generals and politicians and tycoons, financiers who've been
Yeah,
paying for this.
shocking.
Yeah, and the Democrats and the Biden administration were behind all of this.
It's just so murky, and it's literally it's like the bottom of the bin, the detritus at the bottom. How low can you go? Your own country, and all those young people that have lost their lives. Yeah, it's
Committed
despicable.
suicide. Committed
Yeah,
suicide.
yeah, disgusting.
Couples got divorced.
Yeah, and still struggling now with PTSD and all sorts. Even the children are suffering. So I don't know. I have no words. Just shocking. But thinking about what you were saying before, about her dealings and other interferences, I'm aware that the America has just passed. Was trying to get past a resolution in the UN at the moment regarding what's going to happen in Gaza, and Trump has got his peacekeeping council, but part of that is going to be a international force that the countries are quite concerning that have expressed an interest in putting troops into Gaza as part of this international force, namely Turkey, Egypt, Azerbaijan, Indonesia. I think there's another one, I forget now. Um, but they're talking about training up a Palestinian police force and all sorts of things. I mean, what is the view of this inside Israel? Are people happy about this, or how do they
Well,
view
yeah,
this?
of course, the answer is yes and no. I mean, Israel
Mm,
is happy if Israel does not have to have its troops, boots on the ground in Gaza and have an international force. I mean, that would be a dream come true. But the problem is, okay, now I'm going to say something which can get me into a lot of trouble. Until you ban Islam, there will never be peace,
yeah,
because it even says in the Quran. The Jews are the most implacable enemies of Allah. And of course, Allah is not the God of the Jews and the Christians. Allah is a pagan moon god, war god, and sword god that wants to kill the Jews on Saturday and the Christians on Sunday. I've been preaching about this 35 years already. I mean,
yeah.
you've got good
This,
Muslims. I love the Muslims as individual human beings. But if you have a Muslim anything set up in Gaza, and if they don't ban the hatred of the Jews and the hatred of Israel and ban the books that are being used in the schools, uh, there's no peace. There's not going to be any peace.
the
And
jihadi mindset is not being changed. But if Egypt is, you're just saying Egypt's preparing to go to war with Israel, how, and they are in breach of their peace treaty with Israel at the moment, how on earth will Israel be feeling about allowing any Egyptian troops, boots from Turkey on the ground inside Gaza? And, surely President Trump must be aware of this tension. What do you think?
correct, correct. I have to tell you, I was court-martialed once in the Israeli army because a very, very well-known Christian activist wrote an article which I quoted. And it was an article written in 1995. And I quoted it. I got court-martialed, and I said, "I'm not saying that Israel has nuclear weapons. What I'm saying in 1995 is that this article that I was quoting was saying that the two former ministers of war of Egypt, Huwaidi and Tantawi, one was saying, war with Israel is inevitable. This is 1994. War with Israel is, and Hawaii was saying, and this was what got me into trouble, that even though Israel has nuclear weapons, according to Hawaii, we will know how to chop off the arms of Israel, of the enemy, when the time comes. In other words, we almost had a war in 94, 95. I think all of you who have been faithful followers of this Zoom, you know that in 1996, in November, I received a telephone call warning about imminent war with Egypt. This is right after Netanyahu got elected the first time. And a week later, I got another telephone call from the same person that war was inevitable within 24 hours. And all of a sudden, there was no war. And but the information is that Tony Blair got the information.
Welcome to the restaurant.
Is someone adding something? Okay, so Tony Blair had the information that I had submitted from dear Christians and Messianics in the United States that Israel was about to be attacked. And so again, the Egyptian pipe dream of a war with Israel was frustrated. You have to understand the Egyptian mentality and the Islamic mentality is only make peace temporarily until you're ready to break the peace and you're strong enough to defeat the enemy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Egypt is not preparing for war against Libya. Egypt is not preparing for war against Chad. Egypt is not preparing for war against Sudan, though it is again trying to overtake Sudan because of the gold and the oil and other resources. But Egypt is preparing for war with Israel, and
Yeah.
they have to remove their military from Sinai and go back to the peace agreement. They won't do it. If they don't do it, it means their declared intention is war. And if Egypt attacks us again, and we have to take Sinai a fourth time, are we stupid or what? I mean, why do we keep taking Sinai and American presidents make us
Yeah.
return Sinai, and then we have to take it again? This would be the fourth time that Egypt attacks us and we have to take Sinai. I don't know. I think the Bible makes a very, very good prediction that our borders will reach the Nile River.
Yeah.
And in the other direction, we are almost already at the river, Euphrates, where the Kurds are. And the Kurds are going to be our allies. We're going to have an ally nation of Kurds, 50 million. The whole map of the Middle East is going to change. And Iran, if they keep fooling around, the Kurdish population of Iran is going to join the Kurdish population in Iraq and in Syria and in Turkey. We're going to have a big country landlocked, and in order for them to fly, they're going to have a safe passage route from the Euphrates to Israel through the Druze area. But see, the Turks and the Egyptians are planning to cut off Israel's air routes going west over the Mediterranean, and they're going to probably try to overrun Cyprus. And we're in Cyprus
I can
also.
see that. Yeah.
We're in Cyprus also.
Yeah.
We will be the protectors of Cyprus and Greece and South Europe.
Yeah. It certainly feels like there's something brewing. And speaking of Iraq, is there any talk inside Israel regarding Iran feeding these weapons and training into the Iraqi militias there, planning an attack on Israel again?
You have to remember that 20% of Iraq is Sunni Arab, 20% of Iraq is Kurdish. The remaining 60%, which is Shiite Muslim, they have different militias. And some of them, I don't know the exact story of the militias in Iraq. They're Shiite, but they're against the Iranians. And so, I have to tell you also, there's a country called Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijan, at least until now, is an ally of Israel.
Yeah,
And
that's
they,
one of the
they
countries saying that they want to be part of the task force inside Gaza.
Azerbaijan and Indonesia, from what I understand, Azerbaijan is an ally. I don't know yet about Indonesia because everything is still in the infancy stage with Indonesia.
Hmm.
But they are always proudly announcing that they are not fanatic Muslim, and that, of course, on the island of Bali, you have Hindus and Buddhists and
Hmm.
Christians and others. There's only, I think, one island in Indonesia which is fanatic Muslim. But
Yeah,
I'll tell you, what scares the Indonesians is not Israel and the Jews. What scares the Indonesians is the Chinese.
Chinese. Yeah,
And the Chinese, you have to remember, 500,000 Chinese were slaughtered in
yeah.
1960 during the independence movement of Indonesia.
Hmm.
And I'm sure, I'm not defending the Chinese now, but the Chinese have scores to settle with Indonesia. And so President Trump understands the situation. And if Indonesia makes peace with Israel and they march together with Trump and with Israel, it increases their defendability from the Chinese. Don't forget, it's not just Indonesia, it's the Philippines,
Hmm.
Vietnam, Taiwan, Formosa, Japan, South Korea. A lot of countries are threatened by a war with China. So this is a world war situation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Avi.
My pleasure, dear.
God
I'm always
bless you.
happy with your questions.
Thank you.
Is that a wrap for today?
Okay, dear. If people are happy with the questions and answers and the information, and just continue praying for Israel, because my fear is that when the Islamic countries that hate Israel and want to destroy Israel see the infighting in Israel between the deep state and the right wing people, they're it's going to entice these enemy countries to attack. So I'm very, very much praying, and I'm asking all of you to pray for Israel, that God will shield Israel from an war of aggression from Egypt and Turkey. So we'll see.
Avi, good morning. It's Debbie Hustis in Montana.
Hi, I think you're the only one from Montana in this group.
Well, I'm glad to be here this morning, and I had to come in late. I'm sorry. But I do have a question real quick before you close our wonderful time together. So you were talking about Egypt and how it seems like they're preparing for war. China was bringing in possibly tanks, who knows what all. So I have two questions about that. In the last week ago, I think, there was talk about these drones that were coming over the border of Gaza and Egypt with munitions. Now, I don't think large things, but still at least, the large guns and ammunition to go with it and all of that stuff. But the fact that these drones were allowed to come over that border into Gaza, I kept thinking, why isn't Israel just shooting those drones down? What is the deal with letting them come in to help rearm the Hamas? My second question, Avi, is back to Egypt again. I think I sent you this video, and it was from a little over a week ago. Very, very good. And I'm sorry I can't this morning remember who it was that hosted the speaker. But the speaker was an Egyptian who has come onto your guys' side, which, according to the host of the discussion, was very, very rare. But he had come into Israel to help you guys. But he was fairly frantic. He was saying, I keep trying to warn the military and warn the government of everything that Egypt is doing to prepare for this war, and they don't want to listen to it. But he had video evidence of this massive increase, not just of the tanks, but of boots on the ground. And he was saying that while Egypt's military has been relatively small up till now, that they have upwards of 1 million men who are now being trained, very quickly trained on, what's the word, when it's boots on the ground, infantry type war into Israel, like upwards of 1 million. That's so serious. But not only that, he had footage of these war rooms, big war rooms, where it was just rows and rows of individual desks, if you will, with these men with computers, and they were taking notes, but they were all watching a big screen and listening to a man that was teaching them, because they had been taking careful notes, paying careful attention to everything that your country was able to do to defeat Hezbollah, to get into Iran and do what needed to be done, which was to, first of all, eliminate all of their air defense system so that you guys could fly with them blind. And now this has happened with allowing these Chinese planes to come in to you guys. They're paying attention. They're learning what you guys did and preparing to be able to use a lot of your tactics against you. He was an extremely intelligent man, Egyptian man, and he was extremely concerned about Israel not paying enough attention. So last of all, I listen a lot to JNS, not all of them, but a lot of them. And I listen to Yishai Fleischer, somewhat to the Israel guys. I bounce around quite a bit. I haven't heard one of them, other than that one video, do anything but seem to feel comfortable with Egypt, comfortable enough to let them be part of who will come into Gaza to stay put, to help with all of the peacekeeping, the reclamation of the land, whatever it might be. But I'm like, this might be one of the bigger enemies. Now, I'm not talking over Turkey or over Iran if they're able to rebuild, but a very, very, very serious one, because they are at your border. So how come we're not hearing more about that, Avi?
Also, another thing, the 5 super tankers, Chinese super tankers that landed in south of Sinai, it is reputed that they brought in attack helicopters, which were have to be put together, assembled.
Yeah.
So now the Egyptians have these attack helicopters from China. There's a lot of stuff going on there with the Chinese, and I'm sure the Israeli military knows about it. And, you know, when we face such a crazy reality like you're talking about, we don't talk about that. We just, you know, we get ready for it. One of the points I also wanted to add, the whole idea of sending machine guns over the border with these drones to the Arab Bedouin in Israel, Western, is to prepare the Arab Bedouin to rise up within Israel, and not Gaza, within Israel, south of Gaza. So we will be probably facing an internal war with the Bedouin who are in the south of Israel. So your points are very well taken, and I think the Israeli military knows about it. I think also that this attorney general of the Israeli army, who's in jail now, she was forbidding the Israeli soldiers and Israeli police from shooting at these drones and shooting at all this aggressive behavior coming across the border. So, you know, there's so much stuff going on that neither you nor I know about. We just hear hints here and there.
Yes.
And God willing, God will protect us. And President Trump, I think, is not going to allow Egypt to get away with something like that, especially if the Chinese are involved. But if the Chinese get attacked, this could be World War III.
Right. Thank you, Avi.
Pray for us, and we pray for you, and for especially for the New York people and Mamdani not winning. But see, the problem about Mamdani, if he loses, there will be riots in the streets of New York City, and it's like the famous Christian preacher, I forgot his name, for Times Square Church. who was speaking about, the ghettos going up in fire.
Yeah. Mhm.
So we have to watch all of this going on there.
David Wilkerson.
Mhm.
David Wilkerson, thank you, dear.
Yeah.
David Wilkerson was a prophet, even though he didn't have me speak in his church. We had some good meetings together. But anyway, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Debbie.
It's good to see you.
Yes, amen.
And our love to Rachel.
Tuesday. Every Tuesday.
Yes, I'm working on it. I'm switching my sleep hours around for you, Avi. No, to be blessed by this. Thank you.
God bless all of you.
You too, Avi.